From an early age, Jules White has understood the importance of expressing his creativity through his paintings. Jules' paintings can best be described as colorful, bold, and intense with abstract qualities.
I started taking art classes at the Eastern Shore Art Center when I was little, and I always had art classes at Bayside with Mrs. Horn was one of my teachers, and then I had Mrs. Olds later in high school. And so that was a lot of my training. I had a whole lot of classes in ceramics at the Eastern Shore Art Center, and then drawing classes from like Fred Lawyer at the Art Center. And then once about my senior year, I decided that if I went and bought some paints that I'd really enjoy it, and I went and bought some paints and I enjoyed it, and I just kept painting, and then it got to be where I wanted to paint every day, and just I felt that I had to do it every day, or something was missing, and I would get irritable. So I just started painting all the time, and a lot of it was just trial and error, teaching myself, just doing it over and over, and the repetition of teaching myself just through doing it over and over, and looking at a lot of other artists' works. I look, some of my favorite artists are like David Hockney, and I look at his work all the time and his vibrant colors, or like Richard Diebenkorn, or Don Bacardi, or Alice Neal, or Lucian Freud, and I look at their work and I'll see something that I like in one of their paintings, and I'll look and stop and ask myself, how did they do that, and what is it about that that really works? And then I'll go back and try to concentrate on some of those things in my next painting and see if I can make it work. When you have a subject sitting in front of you, even though like a photograph is set, and it's, you know, the person that took the photograph in fact kind of put their art into the photograph, and so part of a lot of what the painting will be is already determined by the photograph. And when you have someone sitting for you, you can actually see the life because of their movement. You know, someone will, you know, they'll definitely going to move at some point during your painting, and as they move, you kind of, it gives you, I don't know, it gives you a sense that they're alive, and maybe it'll cause you to have to readjust what you're doing and to work with their change in position. But it kind of brings, like the inaccuracy that it kind of brings into it forces you to adjust more and to get more of it gives you the idea that they're really alive, and gives you, you can tell that they're there, you can hear them, and you can really see them, whereas in a photograph you kind of sit there and, you know, you're not being affected by their presence in the room, or, you know, you're not being affected by the presence of actually sitting at that area where you're seeing that landscape. And also everything, you know, it's smaller, you know, you can get things blown up, but then you've got, you know, you can't see as well as you may have been able to see at the actual spot where you're painting and things like that. It depends. A lot of my tones actually, when I'm at school, and I go to school in Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. So when I'm at school, I'm in a lot grayer environment. It's cloudy all the time. So my work will change, and the tones will be a lot more subdued, a lot more browns and you know, grays and blacks. And then once I come down here for vacation and I've got all the sunlight, I don't even use black at all anymore. And it tends to be a lot of more yellow in my work. Most of the whites become yellows and things like that. And then I allow myself to be free and just work with what I feel is the correct color for it, and not necessarily what it appears visually to everyone that's looking at it. I'll just work through a feeling. And especially with the bay and with like the trees around here, the light just changes the color so much depending on what time of day it is, or what the weather's like. If it's rainy, you'll have that wet feel after the rain and everything. So a lot of it depends on where I am, and actually most of it depends on the sunlight and how the sun is working. And when I'm down here, it's just, I guess, there's so much sunlight, it's impossible not to be affected by it.
Amy Jones is also another one of the Eastern Shore's young talented artists. You can see Amy's work along Highway 98 at the Daphne Sculpture Garden, or this beautiful mural in downtown Fairhope.
I got started in art when I was really little. My mom used to buy me the big rolls of freezer paper, and I'd color and finger paint on those. And that's really when I got started. I went to school in Daphne, and I had a really good art program all through my elementary level classes, and then when I got to high school at Bayside, I had a really exceptional art, I don't know, the teachers there were really good. Felicia Oles is a wonderful teacher. Miss Horn was my teacher for the first few years. She started up the AP program there, which really it broadened our views within my class of what there was out there among our level of students. You know, in 12th grade, what AP art was. I learned a lot through that program doing my AP class. Then it was just a local high school show that a piece of my pottery placed in at the Alabama Council on the Arts, and that won first place in the 3D design program, and I got a surprise scholarship to go to Savannah College of Art and Design, and that's where I've been for 2 years. I'll be starting in the fall for my third and last year. So I don't know, I've been taking basic classes in there, core classes. It's a liberal arts education, but I've been studying fibers, that's my major, and I've learned everything from how to make, you know, design shopping bags that I'll see in stores, you know, and stuff, to welding and what I'm doing in my branch of fibers. So my welding, I went to Savannah Tech, which is the technical school in Savannah, Georgia, and I learned to weld there. I think I wanted to move to metal, and I like large-scale sculpture, and metal gave me an avenue in which I could get bigger than what I had been working in, just due to the weight capacity, and then welding was the only way, besides cold fabrication. Welding is how you put metal together, so I had to learn how to do that. But I think size is mainly why I moved to metal, so I can do larger stuff. I do furniture also, so that's a different avenue than your typical wood furniture, I guess. I don't know. My bugs, I like my bugs still, just because I haven't been doing them for very long, so they're still, each one it has a different personality. Every time I finish a different one, they take on an attitude to themselves. My bugs, and then my furniture, I'm just now started playing with plasma cutters, and I love those, so that's what I do some of my furniture with. My tree chair has been pretty popular, and I've liked that piece a lot. Basically, I just want to keep doing bigger, wackier things. The bugs, I use 1/4-inch hot rolled steel, and it comes in 20-foot lengths, and I just cut it down using bolt cutters first to whatever sizes I need. I don't do anything really too much by precise measurements or anything. It's all just by eye. You cut it down and I bend it. I use jigs. I use jigs and vices to bend the metal. The 1/4-inch is pretty small, so I do it all by hand. First, I just bend all the shapes, and then I weld the different pieces together, and then weld the whole bug together. I'm waiting on a package to come back from NASA right now, because I want to be the first out of a group of artists from various countries, have a collaborative piece that would go on the moon. So that's really where I'm shooting for, not the stars, but the moon. So that's my biggest goal, and hopefully that'll work. I don't know, there's probably going to be a lot of red tape involved, but it'd be worth the time and effort it took. So I think that would be really neat to take art to other places besides just, here on the earth, like space art. I don't know, I have other ideas. I want to do large-scale public sculptures, like mall installations and stuff like that. So that's where I hope to find myself in the future.
Next week, we'll go to Mobile, Alabama to meet movie star Richard Tyson, the legendary Eugene Walter, painter Joan Whitespunner, and potter Susan Hilton.